The observation station hung in the cold darkness between stars. Its sensors pointed toward a small blue world. Inside the station, Ambassador Zixthala of the Cathari Dominion reviewed the same data she had been studying for decades. Earth, the quiet world, the planet that never spoke to the stars. She touched her scaled fingers to the holographic display, bringing up images of the third planet from a yellow star. The beings there called themselves humans, and they had been under galactic observation for 800 years. In all that time, they had never once attempted faster-than-light communication. They had never built ships that could travel between stars. They remained trapped in their own solar system like insects in amber. Still nothing? Asked her assistant, a young Cathari named Velthon. Nothing, Zixthala confirmed. They have spread to their moon and the red planet they call Mars. They mine rocks in the space between planets, but they show no interest in reaching beyond their star system. The humans were curious creatures. They built machines and sent them to explore every world and moon in their system. They launched telescopes that could see across the galaxy. They even sent messages into space, hoping someone might hear them, but they never tried to come looking for answers themselves. The Galactic Council had strict rules about contact with primitive species. No civilization could be approached until they developed faster-than-light travel on their own. It was a test of sorts. Only species advanced enough to break the light barrier were considered ready to join the galactic community. Humans had come close several times. Their scientists understood the mathematics. They had theories about folding space and creating tunnels through reality, but they never took the final step. They seemed content to stay home. What do you think holds them back? Velthon asked. Zixthala had wondered about this for years. Other species at humanity's level of development usually achieved faster-than-light travel, within decades of reaching their own moon. Humans had been traveling in their system for over 2 centuries now. Perhaps they lack ambition, she said, or perhaps they are simply not ready. She pulled up the latest reports from the hidden sensors scattered throughout the human system. The sensors were invisible to human technology, carefully designed to observe without being detected. They showed the usual activity: ships moving between Earth and Mars, mining operations in the asteroid belt, space stations orbiting the gas giants. The humans had divided themselves into different groups based on the land masses of their world. These groups sometimes fought each other, but they also worked together on their space projects. It was unusual. Most species remained divided until they encountered other worlds with life. Look at this, Velthon said, pointing to a section of the data. They are building something new near their gas giant. Zixthala examined the readings. The humans were constructing a large facility in orbit around the planet they called Jupiter. It appeared to be some kind of research station, much larger than anything they had built before. Probably another telescope, she said. They are always trying to see farther into space. The facility was indeed massive. Human ships carried materials to the construction site daily. Workers in spacesuits moved like tiny ants across the growing structure. Whatever they were building, it was important to them. Should we inform the Council? Velthon asked. Zixthala considered this. The Galactic Council met every few years to discuss species under observation. Earth was always on the agenda, but the report was always the same. No change, no progress toward faster-than-light capability. No reason to make contact, not yet, she decided. Let them finish whatever they are building. We will include it in the next scheduled report. Across the galaxy, the council chambers on the neutral world of Consensus held the representatives of 12 advanced species. The Cathari were masters of technology and mathematics. The Zephyrians controlled vast energy resources. The crystalline collective existed as living beings made of organized minerals. Each species had achieved faster-than-light travel thousands of years ago. They met to discuss the younger species scattered across the galaxy. Some were showing promise. Others had destroyed themselves before reaching the stars. A few, like humanity, seemed stuck at the edge of breakthrough. The humans remain unchanged, Zixthala reported when her turn came. They continue their slow expansion within their system. No signs of faster-than-light research. No attempts at interstellar communication. The council members nodded. This was expected. Humanity had been discussed many times before. They were considered a stable, if unambitious, species. Recommend continued observation, said the council speaker, a being of pure energy from the luminous confederacy. Standard protocol. Report any significant changes. The meeting moved on to other species. The council had dozens of worlds under observation. Most would eventually join the galactic community. Some would not survive long enough. It was the natural order of things. But in their distant observation posts, the Watchers missed something important. They saw human ships moving between planets. They recorded human communications. They noted the steady growth of human colonies and stations. What they did not see were the carefully shielded facilities hidden in the shadows of asteroids. The humans had learned to be very quiet indeed. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the hidden research complex built inside an asteroid near Mars. Around her, scientists from every nation on Earth worked together on projects that would have seemed like magic to their ancestors. They had been working for 50 years, ever since humanity first detected the alien observation posts. "Status report," she said to her team. "Quantum tunneling drive is ready for testing," reported one scientist. "We can open a passage to Alpha Centauri within the hour." "Dimensional sensors are online," said another. "We are tracking 17 different alien observation posts in our system." "Communication systems are prepared," added a third. "We can tap into their networks whenever you give the order." Sarah nodded. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The plan that had taken decades to develop. The plan that required every human government to work together in complete secrecy. "What about the weapon systems?" she asked. "Prototype testing is complete," came the reply. "The reality anchors function exactly as predicted." Sarah looked out through the asteroid's hidden viewing port at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, alien species watched Earth and considered humans to be primitive and harmless. They had no idea that humanity had been watching them back. More importantly, they had no idea what humanity had discovered in their watching. The signals from beyond the galaxy's edge. The distortions in space-time. The civilizations that had simply stopped transmitting without explanation. Something was coming. Something that the advanced species of the galaxy had not yet noticed, and when it arrived, humanity would be ready. "Continue monitoring," Sarah ordered. "Maintain communication silence. And prepare for the next phase." The asteroid complex hummed with activity as humans prepared for a war the galaxy did not yet know was coming. They had learned patience from their centuries of silence. Soon they would learn the value of that patience. Above them, the alien observation post continued their watch, recording the movements of primitive human ships and never suspecting that they themselves were being observed by the very species they considered too backward to notice them. Captain Jake Morrison floated in his spacesuit outside the hidden research facility, watching an alien probe drift past Mars. The probe was invisible to normal human sensors, but Jake could see it clearly through his modified helmet display. It had been watching human activities for decades, never knowing that humans were watching it back. "Beautiful, isn't it?" came Dr. Sarah Chen's voice through his communication system. "They think they're so clever, hiding their technology from us." Jake smiled inside his helmet. "How long have we known about them?" "We detected the first observation post in 2157, Sarah replied. "A mining crew noticed gravitational anomalies that didn't match any known objects. It took us 3 years to figure out what we were looking at. That discovery had changed everything for humanity. Instead of announcing their findings to the world, the Earth governments had made a different choice. They decided to watch the Watchers." Jake pushed off from the facility's hull and drifted closer to the alien probe. It was about the size of a small car, covered in technology that bent light around it. Human scientists had spent decades figuring out how it worked. "Quantum field manipulation," Sarah explained as if reading his thoughts. "They use controlled gravitational fields to bend electromagnetic radiation. Very sophisticated, but not impossible to detect once you know what to look for." The probe continued on its programmed path, scanning human mining operations in the asteroid belt. It would record the movements of human ships, the construction of human habitats, and the steady expansion of human presence throughout the solar system. Then it would transmit its findings back to the alien observation station at the edge of the system. What it would not record was this conversation. Human communication systems now used quantum entanglement, making them impossible for the aliens to intercept. Every major facility in the solar system was connected through networks the aliens could not even detect. "Jake, return to the facility," Sarah ordered. "We have a situation." Jake pushed himself back toward the hidden complex. The facility was built inside a large asteroid, completely invisible from the outside. Only a few small ports allowed ships to enter and exit. The entire complex could house over 1,000 researchers and engineers. Inside, Sarah was waiting in the central command center. Screens showed data flowing in from across the solar system. Hidden sensors tracked every alien probe. Intercepted communications revealed alien discussions about humanity and dozens of other species under observation. "What's the situation?" Jake asked. Sarah pointed to a display showing the edge of the galaxy. "We're picking up new signals. Something big is happening out there." The signals were unlike anything in the alien databases. They came from empty space, from regions where star systems should have existed but didn't. Most disturbing of all, the signals were getting closer. "Show him the Cathari transmission," Sarah said to one of her technicians. A holographic display activated, showing the translation of an intercepted alien message. The translation was rough, but the meaning was clear. The Cathari Dominion had lost contact with 3 of their colonies. Ships sent to investigate had found nothing. No debris, no signs of battle. The colonies had simply vanished. "It's not just the Cathari," Sarah continued. "We're seeing similar reports from other species. Entire star systems are disappearing." Jake studied the data. "What do our scientists think is causing it?" "We have theories," Sarah replied. "None of them are good." She led him to another section of the facility, where teams of physicists worked on problems that would have been impossible without alien technology to study. They had reverse-engineered faster-than-light communication systems, energy weapons, and most importantly, sensors that could detect things beyond normal space-time. Dr. Maria Vasquez looked up from her workstation. "We think something is eating reality itself," she said without preamble. Jake blinked. "Eating reality?" "The disappearing star systems aren't being destroyed," Maria explained. "They're being erased, removed from space-time entirely. Whatever is doing this operates on a level beyond normal physics." Sarah nodded grimly. "We call them the Void Reapers. We've been tracking their approach for 2 years now. The aliens haven't noticed them yet because their sensors can't detect the kind of damage the Reapers cause." "But ours can?" Jake asked. "We built our sensors differently," Maria said. "When we reverse-engineered alien technology, we discovered it had limitations. It's designed to work within normal spacetime. We designed ours to detect anything that might threaten spacetime itself." Jake was beginning to understand the scope of what humanity had accomplished. While the aliens watched Earth and considered humans primitive, humans had been preparing for a threat the aliens couldn't even see. "How long do we have?" he asked. Sarah pulled up a galactic map. Red zones marked the areas where star systems had vanished. The pattern was clear. The Void Reapers were moving toward the galactic core, where most of the advanced civilizations lived. At their current rate of progress, they'll reach the first major alien worlds in about 6 months, Sarah said. The Cathari homeworld will be among the first targets. Are we going to warn them? Sarah was quiet for a long moment. We've been debating that for months. If we reveal ourselves now, we lose the element of surprise. The aliens might not believe us anyway. They've spent centuries thinking we're too primitive to understand galactic affairs. Jake looked around the facility. Humans worked at stations filled with technology that matched or exceeded anything the aliens possessed. They had spent decades building in secret, preparing for threats the galaxy's advanced species hadn't noticed. "What's our plan?" he asked. "We continue preparing," Sarah said. "We have weapons the Void Reapers won't expect, technology that works differently from anything else in the galaxy. When the time comes, we'll be ready." She led him to the facility's most secure section. Behind multiple security doors was humanity's greatest achievement. The room contained devices that looked like crystalline sculptures, but hummed with power that made the air itself seem thick. "Reality anchors," Sarah explained. "They can stabilize space-time itself. We think they're the only weapons that can stop the Void Reapers." "How do they work?" "They create fixed points in reality," Maria said, joining them. "Think of space-time as a fabric. The Void Reapers tear holes in that fabric. Our anchors can repair the holes and prevent new ones from forming. Jake reached out toward one of the devices, then stopped. Is it safe? Safe enough, Sarah said. We've tested smaller versions. They work exactly as our theories predicted. The implications were staggering. Humanity had not only detected a threat that could destroy the galaxy, they had developed weapons to fight it, all while appearing to be a species that had never left their own solar system. When do we reveal ourselves? Jake asked. Sarah looked at the galactic map again. The red zones seemed to pulse with menace. When the Void Reapers attack the first major alien world, she said. When the galaxy realizes it needs help it didn't know existed. And if they don't listen to us? Then we save who we can and prepare for a very different future. Jake nodded slowly. He had joined the secret project 5 years ago, thinking he was helping humanity prepare for eventual contact with alien civilizations. He had never imagined they were preparing for war against something that could erase entire worlds from existence. How many people know about this? He asked. About 50,000 across the solar system, Sarah replied. Scientists, engineers, military personnel, everyone who needs to know to make this work. And everyone has kept it secret for decades. Sarah smiled sadly. It's amazing what people will do when they understand the stakes. Every person working on this project knows that failure means the end of not just humanity but everything we've ever known. Outside the facility, the alien probe continued its patrol, dutifully recording the movements of primitive human ships. It had no idea that those ships were now equipped with technology that could detect threats across the galaxy. No idea that the beings it watched had become the galaxy's secret guardians. Soon the galaxy would learn that humanity had been listening all along. Ambassador Zixthala was reviewing routine observation reports when reality broke. She was sitting at her desk aboard the observation station, reading the latest data from the human solar system, when every alarm in the facility began screaming at once. The lights flickered. The artificial gravity wavered. Through the station's viewports, she could see stars disappearing, not exploding, not dying, simply ceasing to exist. What's happening? Felthon shouted over the alarms, rushing into her office. Zixthala was already pulling up the sensor readings, her scaled hands moving frantically across the controls. What she saw made no sense. The Cathari homeworld, center of their vast dominion, had simply vanished. 5 billion lives, thousands of years of civilization, countless space stations and orbital cities, all gone as if they had never existed. Get me a connection to the council chambers, she ordered. I'm trying, Felthon replied, his voice shaking. All communications with the core worlds are down. More reports flooded in from observation posts throughout the galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire's capital system gone. 3 major crystalline collective worlds erased. Entire sectors of space that had teemed with life now showed nothing but empty void. The communications finally connected, showing chaos in the council chambers. Representatives from across the galaxy were shouting at once, their various forms of speech creating a cacophony of panic. The translation systems couldn't keep up. Order, the council speaker demanded, its energy form flaring brighter. Report your status, all stations. One by one, the remaining council members reported the same thing. Their homeworlds, their major colonies, their most important systems, vanishing without warning or explanation. No debris, no radiation signatures. Nothing to indicate what had happened or where entire civilizations had gone. This is impossible, declared the Vorthak representative, its crystalline body resonating with distress. Matter cannot simply cease to exist. The sensor readings are consistent across all reports, Zixthala said when her turn came. Something is removing star systems from reality itself. The council speaker's energy form flickered. Recommendations? The various species began talking at once. Some wanted to evacuate all remaining colonies. Others demanded immediate military mobilization. A few suggested that this was some kind of natural phenomenon that would pass. That's when the new signal arrived. It came from the edge of Cathari space, where the homeworld had been. The transmission was on frequencies that should have been impossible for any known species to use. It was directed specifically to the Council emergency channels. Unknown vessel, identify yourself, the Council speaker commanded. The response came in perfect galactic standard, the common language used in council proceedings. The voice was calm, measured, and unmistakably alien to all the species present. "We are humanity. We know what you're fighting. We can help." Silence filled the council chambers. Sixithala felt her heart skip in her chest. Humanity? The primitive species from the quiet world? Impossible, she whispered. But as she watched through the station's sensors, ships began appearing in the empty space where the Cathari homeworld had been. They materialized out of nothing, as if they had been traveling through dimensions the aliens couldn't detect. The ships were unlike anything in the galactic databases. They were sleek and dark, their hulls seeming to bend light around them. They moved with precision that suggested advanced artificial intelligence, but energy readings showed they were definitely crewed by living beings. "This is Admiral Marcus Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Fleet," came another transmission. "We are transmitting our credentials and requesting permission to approach." The data that followed made Zixthala's minds reel. The humans had faster-than-light capabilities that exceeded anything the Council species possessed. Their ships used technology that operated on principles the galactic community had never discovered. Most shocking of all, they knew exactly what had happened to the missing worlds. "The entities you're facing are called Void Reapers," Admiral Rodriguez explained as his fleet took position near the surviving Council ships. "They exist partially outside normal space-time. Your sensors can't detect them because they don't interact with matter the way you expect." Through her station's enhanced sensors, Zixthala watched human ships deploy devices that made space itself seem to solidify around them. Whatever technology they were using, it was beyond anything she had ever seen. "How do you know this?" the council speaker demanded. "Because we've been watching them approach for 3 years," Rodriguez replied. "We've been preparing." The human admiral's next words sent shockwaves through the council chambers. "We know about your observation posts. We know about your non-interference policies. We know about every species under your protection, and we know that without immediate action this galaxy will be completely consumed within 6 months." Zixthala activated her personal communication channel to Velthon. "Pull up every file we have on human technological development," she ordered quietly. As her assistant worked, she listened to Admiral Rodriguez explain the situation to the council. The Void Reapers were the remains of an ancient civilization that had damaged reality through careless use of faster-than-light travel. They had become creatures of pure consumption, able to erase entire regions of space-time. Every time a ship travels through hyperspace, it creates microscopic tears in reality, the Admiral explained. Over millions of years, those tears have grown large enough for the Reapers to use as entry points into our dimension. The human solution was radical beyond anything the Council had imagined. They had developed technology that could repair the damage to space-time itself. But implementing it would require cooperation on a scale the galaxy had never achieved, sir, Velthon whispered urgently. "I found something in the human files." Zixithala looked at the data her assistant had discovered. Hidden in decades of seemingly routine observations were tiny inconsistencies, ships that moved slightly too fast, energy readings that were slightly too advanced, construction projects that served no apparent purpose but created perfect hiding spots for advanced technology. The humans had been deceiving them for decades. They've been spacefaring longer than we thought, she realized. "Much longer," Velthon confirmed. "And look at this." He showed her intercepts of human communications that their translation systems had dismissed as scientific chatter. Now, with proper analysis, they revealed detailed discussions of galactic politics, alien technology, and preparations for something called the Reaper Protocol. "They've been preparing for this specific threat," Zixthala breathed. In the council chambers, representatives were arguing about whether to trust the humans. Some demanded proof of their claims. Others insisted this was some kind of elaborate deception. Admiral Rodriguez seemed to anticipate their concerns. "We understand your skepticism," he said. "Allow us to demonstrate." His ships moved into formation around the area where the Cathari homeworld had been. Devices deployed from their hulls, creating a grid of energy that made space itself visible. And there, like cancer eating through reality, were the Void Reapers. They looked like holes in existence itself, dark shapes that hurt to perceive directly. They moved through space-time like predators, seeking new regions to consume. As the council watched in horror, the creatures began reaching toward the human ships. The human response was immediate and devastating. Light erupted from their vessels, but it was light that behaved wrong. It moved in patterns that folded space around the Reapers, trapping them in pockets of stable reality. The creatures writhed and fought, but they couldn't escape the human weapons. Reality anchors, Rodriguez explained calmly. They create fixed points in spacetime that the Reapers cannot consume or alter. One by one, the Reapers were forced back through the dimensional tiers they had created. The humans sealed each opening behind them, repairing the damage to spacetime itself. When it was over, the empty space where the Cathari homeworld had been showed signs of healing. The stars in the area seemed brighter, more stable. The worlds that were consumed are gone forever, Rodriguez said quietly. But we can prevent this from happening again. We can heal the damage that created the Reapers in the first place. The council chambers fell silent. Every representative was processing the same impossible reality. The species they had dismissed as primitive had just saved them from a threat they couldn't even detect. "What do you need from us?" the council speaker asked finally. Admiral Rodriguez's reply would change the course of galactic civilization. Everything. Every ship, every station, every world working together in perfect coordination. The Reapers will return in force, and when they do, we'll need the entire galaxy to act as one. Zixathala looked out at the human fleet, sleek ships that had appeared from nowhere to save species that had considered them beneath notice. She thought about centuries of observation reports that had missed the greatest deception in galactic history. Humanity had been quiet not because they were primitive, but because they were preparing, and now they were ready to save everyone. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the main conference room of the human flagship, looking out at representatives from 12 different alien species. 3 days ago, these beings had considered humanity too primitive to contact. Now they hung on her every word as she explained how to save the galaxy. The room was a marvel of human engineering, designed to accommodate the wildly different needs of galactic species. Environmental controls created separate atmospheric zones. Gravity generators allowed beings of different sizes to interact comfortably. Translation systems converted thoughts into concepts that any species could understand. "The Void Reapers are not invaders," Sarah began, activating a holographic display that showed the galaxy's structure. "They are what remains of the first civilization to achieve faster-than-light travel." The crystalline collective representative, a being of living mineral called harmonics, resonated with confusion. "Explain." Sarah manipulated the display, showing how spacetime worked at the quantum level. Every time a ship jumps through hyperspace, it creates tiny tears in the fabric of reality. These tears are microscopic and normally heal themselves. But over millions of years, with billions of ships making trillions of jumps, the damage accumulates. Ambassador Zixthala leaned forward. "You're saying faster-than-light travel is dangerous?" "Not dangerous," Sarah corrected. "Unsustainable." The first spacefaring civilization didn't know about the cumulative damage. They spread across their galaxy, using hyperspace travel constantly. Eventually, the tears in reality became large enough for their own dimension to start bleeding through. The hologram showed a civilization consuming itself, reality breaking down around them as they tried desperately to escape their dying galaxy. "They became the Void Reapers," Sarah continued, "creatures that exist partially outside normal spacetime, driven by an endless hunger to consume the reality they can no longer fully inhabit." Fleet Admiral Rodriguez joined the briefing, his weathered face serious. "We've been tracking their approach for 3 years. They move from galaxy to galaxy, consuming space-time itself until nothing remains but empty void." "How did you discover this when our best scientists missed it?" demanded the Zephyrian representative, a being of pure energy called Flux. Sarah smiled grimly. "Because we started with different assumptions. When we detected your observation posts 50 years ago, we realized we were being watched by advanced civilizations. But instead of trying to contact you, we asked ourselves why you maintained a non-interference policy." She brought up historical records from the galactic databases, information that humans had been secretly accessing for decades. "Every species you've observed follows the same pattern. They develop faster-than-light capability, join the galactic community, and begin traveling extensively through hyperspace, but we found records of other species that simply disappeared." The alien representatives exchanged glances. They had noticed the disappearances but attributed them to various causes. Wars, natural disasters, technological failures. We realized there was a pattern, Admiral Rodriguez continued. Species that used hyperspace extensively were more likely to vanish. So we developed different technology. The human ships surrounding them were proof of that different approach. They moved through space using principles that the galactic community had never discovered. Their faster-than-light systems didn't tear holes in reality. Instead, they folded space around themselves, moving through dimensions that existed parallel to normal space-time. Your technology creates minimal damage to the fabric of reality, Sarah explained. But it's also limited. You can't achieve the speeds or distances that hyperspace allows. We developed quantum tunneling drives that let us move faster while causing no dimensional damage at all. Dr. Maria Vasquez entered the briefing room, carrying a device that hummed with barely contained energy. This is a reality anchor, she announced, setting it carefully on the central table. It creates a fixed point in spacetime that cannot be altered or consumed. The alien representative stared at the device with mixtures of awe and fear. It looked simple enough, a crystalline structure about the size of a human head, but the energy readings it gave off were unlike anything in their databases. How does it work? Harmonix asked, its mineral body resonating with curiosity. It exploits a property of quantum mechanics that your species never discovered, Maria explained. At the deepest level, reality itself is uncertain. Particles exist in multiple states until they're observed. We've learned to observe reality itself, forcing it into a stable configuration. The implications were staggering. Humans had developed technology that could manipulate the fundamental nature of existence itself. The Void Reapers consume uncertainty, Sarah added. They feed on the quantum fluctuations that allow reality to change and evolve. Our anchors remove that uncertainty in localized areas, starving the Reapers and forcing them back to their own dimension. Admiral Rodriguez activated a tactical display showing the galaxy. Red zones marked areas where Void Reapers had been detected. They're massing for a full assault. Our analysis suggests they'll attack the galactic core within 2 months. Every major civilization will be targeted simultaneously. What can we do? Asked the council speaker, its energy form flickering with distress. Sarah and Rodriguez exchanged glances. This was the moment they had been preparing for since first detecting the alien observation posts. We need every ship, every station, every world in the galaxy to work together, Sarah said. We have enough reality anchors to protect the major systems, but deploying them requires precise coordination across thousands of light years. She showed them the plan that human scientists and strategists had spent years developing. It was called the Symphony of Worlds, a coordinated deployment of reality anchors that would create a galaxy-wide network of stable spacetime. Each anchor must be activated at precisely the right moment, Maria explained. The quantum resonance between them will create a standing wave that encompasses the entire galaxy. Any Void Reapers caught in the network will be forced back to their origin dimension. And the cumulative damage from millions of years of hyperspace travel? Zixthala asked. The network will heal it, Sarah replied. Once established, the reality anchors will gradually repair the tears in spacetime. Within a few years, the galaxy will be completely stable. The plan was audacious beyond anything the galactic community had ever attempted. It required every spacefaring species to coordinate their actions perfectly. Even a small mistake could cause the entire network to fail. Why should we trust you? Flux demanded. You've been deceiving us for decades. Admiral Rodriguez nodded. You're right. We have been deceiving you, but we had good reasons. He activated a new display showing Earth's hidden facilities, asteroid bases, moon installations, orbital shipyards, all invisible to alien sensors. We've been preparing for this threat while appearing to be a primitive species. If we had revealed ourselves earlier, the Void Reapers might have targeted us first. You used our own surveillance against us, Zixthala realized. We learned from you, Sarah confirmed. Your observation post taught us about galactic politics, technology, and the locations of every major civilization. We used that knowledge to prepare defenses for all of you. The alien representatives were quiet, processing the scope of humanity's deception and preparation. For 50 years, while they watched and cataloged human activities, humans had been watching them back and preparing to save their entire galaxy. There's something else, Sarah said quietly. The reality anchor network will make traditional hyperspace travel impossible. If we implement this plan, The galaxy will need to adopt our tunneling drive technology for future interstellar travel. The implications were clear. Humanity was offering to save the galaxy, but at the cost of completely changing how galactic civilization worked. "What do you need from us?" the council speaker asked. Sarah activated the final display, a countdown timer showing 58 days, 14 hours, and 37 minutes. "Every ship you have, every space station, every world capable of supporting a reality anchor. We have that long to deploy a network spanning the entire galaxy." Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward. "Humanity has been quiet for centuries because we were listening. We heard the warnings in the data, saw the patterns you missed. Now we're speaking because the time for silence is over." He looked around the room at beings who represented civilizations thousands of years older than humanity. "We're offering to save everyone, but we need everyone to work together to make it happen." The fate of the galaxy now rested on species that had never truly cooperated, learning to act as one, and humanity, the species they had dismissed as primitive, would be showing them how. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. From Earth's hidden command center, Dr. Sarah Chen watched as millions of ships from dozens of species moved into position across thousands of star systems. Each vessel carried a reality anchor, and each anchor had to be activated at precisely the right moment for the network to function. "Status report," she called out. "Cathari fleets in position at coordinates 7 through 12. Reported one technician. "Zephyrian energy ships ready at grid points 40 through 55. Called another. "Crystalline collective vessels reporting full deployment in the outer rim sectors." The holographic display in the center of the command room showed the entire galaxy. Green dots marked ships in position. Yellow dots showed vessels still moving to their assigned coordinates. Red zones indicated areas where Void Reapers had been detected massing for their final assault. Admiral Rodriguez stood beside Sarah, his weathered hands clasped behind his back. 3 hours until the Reapers begin their attack," he said quietly. Sarah nodded. The enemy was gathering in the spaces between galaxies, building their strength for a simultaneous strike at every major world. Human long-range sensors showed them assembling in numbers that defied comprehension. Dark shapes that existed partially outside reality itself, hungry for the quantum uncertainty that made life possible. "Dr. Chen," came a voice from the communications station. "We're receiving a message from Ambassador Zix Thala." The Cathari diplomat appeared on the main screen, her scaled features tense with worry. Behind her, Sarah could see the bridge of a Cathari battleship, filled with alien technology and crew members preparing for battle. "Dr. Chen, our scientists have finished analyzing your reality anchor technology," Zixathala said. "They estimate we have less than 30% chance of success." Sarah had expected this. The plan was audacious beyond anything attempted in galactic history. What are their concerns? Synchronization across such distances should be impossible. Even with your quantum communication systems, the margin for error is too small. If even a few anchors activate out of sequence, the resonance wave will collapse. "Tell your scientists they're thinking like engineers," Sarah replied calmly. "This isn't just about technology. It's about coordination on a scale your species have never achieved." Through the quantum communication network, Sarah could hear similar conversations happening across the galaxy. Alien commanders expressing doubt about humanity's plan. Scientists questioning whether the reality anchors would work as predicted. Military leaders worried about coordinating with former enemies. 2 hours, 30 minutes until Reaper assault begins, Admiral Rodriguez announced. Sarah activated the galaxy-wide communication channel. Her voice would now be heard on millions of ships scattered across countless star systems. "All vessels, this is Dr. Sarah Chen. I know many of you have doubts about this plan. Your scientists are right. What we're attempting should be impossible. No galaxy has ever coordinated on this scale before." She paused, looking at the display showing ships from species that had been enemies for millennia now working together. "But that's exactly why it will work. The Void Reapers consume civilizations that follow predictable patterns. They expect us to fight separately, to fail to coordinate, to make the same mistakes every galaxy before us has made. We're going to do something they've never encountered. We're going to act as one, The responses came flooding in from across the galaxy. Cathari battle songs, Zephyrian energy harmonics, crystalline collective resonance patterns, each species adding their voice to a growing chorus of determination. "Contact!" shouted a technician. Void Reapers are emerging in 17 sectors simultaneously. The main display exploded with red warnings as reality tears opened across the galaxy. Through the dimensional rifts came creatures of pure hunger, shapes that hurt to look at directly. They spread out like a plague, moving toward the richest concentrations of life and civilization. "All stations report ready," Admiral Rodriguez called out. Sarah looked at the countdown timer. 15 seconds until the symphony began. "Begin sequence," she ordered. Across the galaxy, reality anchors activated in perfect synchronization. The Bree, first wave was the Crystalline Collective, their mineral ships resonating with harmonic frequencies that stabilized space-time around them. The resonance spread outward, creating the foundation for what would come. Next came the Cathari technological marvels, their anchors adding mathematical precision to the growing network. Energy readings spiked as quantum fields aligned across light years of space. The Zephyrian energy beings contributed raw power, their ships channeling forces that could ignite stars. Their anchors blazed with light that existed in dimensions beyond normal perception. One by one, each species added their part to the symphony. The Vorthak provided harmonic stability. The Luminous Confederacy contributed energy patterns that existed as pure thought. Even the smallest civilizations played their parts, their single ships carrying anchors that were crucial to the network's completion. "Network cohesion at 60%, reported Dr. Maria Vasquez. The Void Reapers had noticed something was wrong. They were moving faster now, rushing toward major population centers before whatever the galaxy was doing could stop them. 80% cohesion. Sarah watched as reality anchors across the galaxy synchronized their frequencies. The quantum resonance was building, creating standing waves in space-time itself. The very fabric of the universe was being woven into a protective net. 95%. The Void Reapers reached the outer worlds of several civilizations. They began their terrible work, consuming space-time itself, erasing matter and energy from existence. Entire moons vanished. Space stations simply stopped being. "Network complete," Maria announced. Sarah took a deep breath. "Activate Symphony of Worlds." The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Every reality anchor in the galaxy pulsed simultaneously, their combined resonance creating a wave that traveled faster than light, faster than thought. The wave swept through normal space-time and into the dimensions beyond, carrying with it the stable quantum signatures of 1 trillion coordinated devices. The Void Reapers screamed. Sarah had never heard anything like it. A sound that existed, outside normal perception, transmitted through dimensions that touched the deepest levels of reality. The creatures of hunger and emptiness found themselves surrounded by absolute certainty, quantum states that could not be altered or consumed. One by one, they were forced back through the dimensional tiers they had created. The reality anchors sealed each rift behind them, repairing damage that had accumulated over millions of years. Space-time itself began to heal, quantum uncertainty returning to healthy levels. "It's working," Admiral Rodriguez breathed. But the symphony was just beginning. As the network stabilized, it began to resonate with frequencies that reached beyond the galaxy itself. The standing wave spread outward, touching other galaxies where Void Reapers had struck before. In distant clusters of stars, reality began to heal. Quantum tiers that had festered for eons suddenly found themselves flooded with stable space-time. The infection that had spread from galaxy to galaxy was being purged by a cure no one had thought possible. "Dr. Chen," came a transmission from the edge of the galaxy. "This is Captain Morrison aboard Deep Space Monitoring Station Alpha. You need to see this." The display showed readings from beyond the galactic rim. The Void Reapers weren't just being forced back, they were being healed. As the symphony's resonance touched them, the creatures of emptiness began to remember what they had been before their reality collapsed. They had been explorers once, scientists and artists and dreamers who had reached for the stars without understanding the price. As the quantum certainty restored their original forms, they chose to let go of their hunger and fade peacefully back into the repaired fabric of spacetime. Network stabilization complete, Maria reported, all sectors showing normal spacetime readings. Sarah slumped in her chair, exhaustion hitting her like a physical blow. Around the command center, technicians were cheering, but she could barely hear them. They had done it. They had saved not just their galaxy, but begun healing damage that stretched across the entire universe. Incoming transmission from the council chambers, a communications officer announced. The main screen showed the surviving council members gathered on their neutral world. Representatives from species that had been enemies for millennia stood together, united by what they had just accomplished. Dr. Chen, the council speaker said, its energy form flickering with what might have been emotion. On behalf of the galaxy, we thank you. Sarah managed a tired smile. Thank all of us. This only worked because everyone played their part. Ambassador Zix Thala stepped forward. The galaxy owes humanity a debt that cannot be repaid. You saved us all. We saved ourselves too, Sarah replied. That's what neighbors do. 6 months later, Sarah stood in the same command center, but everything had changed. The galaxy now operated under new principles. Hyperspace travel had been abandoned in favor of humanity's quantum tunneling drives. The Reality Anchor Network provided constant monitoring of spacetime stability. Most importantly, the former observation posts had been converted into cooperation centers where species worked together on projects that benefited everyone.